discretion is advised as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Now, are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Alrighty. Here we are once again. Another all-star cast, assembling the best roles of the Star Wars fan base.
Up preview show.
Oh, thank you.
Up preview show. This man's got a fucking theme song.
You're too kind.
I do my research. Hi, Trevor from the Barely Critical podcast. I do my research. I've listened to a few episodes, and as my co-host Luke, and we're just like, this man's got a theme song, just like big baller brand, like right out. Like,
it was worthwhile. I had filmed a music video for him, and he decided to repay the favor, and I was like, thank you.
Dude,
well, now you need a music video for the theme song. That's phase 2.
That's the only option.
The only way. The only way
I
is
have
up.
less range than some of these Star Wars actors, so I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Just some of them. Some of them.
That's why I said some.
Peter Mayhew. I got so much more clout than Peter Mayhew, but you're asking James Earl Jones.
Get to him. I showed on my convention appearance where I met him, but So warning. We already mentioned Harrison Ford, Christopher Lee, Katie Sackhoff, Liam Neeson, Samuel L. Jackson, Jimmy Smits, Peter Cushing, and Pedro Pascal is too awesome to have just one episode about him. So we are talking about the remainder of the Star Wars actors who you can't not associate with this franchise. Just a casual, tour de force on what you know all these actors from besides this.
I wish you told me in advance. I got 7 pages on Jimmy Smits I got to throw out.
And Peter Cushing was my ace in the hole on this one.
No, it's fine. We can still mention them. And
I only took notes on Harrison Ford. Damn it. I have a piece of paper, and it says Indiana Jones in Crayola, and that's it.
That's it.
Indiana Jones, question mark?
Indy.
Who's better, Han or Indy? Han or Indy?
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's a toughie.
You just opened the black hole of the internet.
That's it. It's done.
I'm not afraid to go on record. Indiana Jones.
Can I say Detective Deckard from Blade Runner?
I don't know if he would be Oh, you think him versus the other two? I don't know about that.
I mean, he can handle replicants. I think he can handle.
Oh, what if he was a replicant?
Yeah,
he's definitely the smartest of the bunch.
I am the replicant.
Which version of Blade Runner are we watching?
Oh, that's
there's about 30. There's about 37
he looks more
versions,
interested there than in the Star Wars sequels. So I don't know.
Just 180. Let's talk about.
Can I
Blade
put
Runner.
Jack Ryan from those Tom Clancy movies as well? I don't know.
Oh hell yeah! Clear and
yeah.
Present Danger and Patriot Games.
He's got some serious wrestling moves in those.
And then, if we're doing all of those, we have to include the old guy from 42 as well. If we're just like putting Harrison Ford against each other.
Not fair. Then we got to include Hollywood Homicide. And who would
he
want to
doesn't
unleash
stand
that
much of a
cancer?
chance, but would you not pay to see that?
No.
I'd rather put his character from Anchorman in there.
I don't know.
Only if I'm allowed to put in his Expendables character. But
Oh yes.
What was his name? Church in that, or was that Bruce Willis?
no, he replaced Bruce Willis. And
He
he's
replaces
like,
Bruce Willis. Yeah.
We decided, Mr. Church, we've had enough of him.
Yeah, he's
on
out of the picture.
He's out.
Yeah, Bruce Willis did 11 of those garbage movies in 2 years from that company that where he gets his lines fed to him and he just says his lines and walks off. He was okay to do those, but he just couldn't come back for Expendables, right? Like
he wanted too much money.
For too much money, but the irony was Stallone also works for that same company.
does Stallone, is Stallone in that?
That's what he did those Escape Plan movies for.
Oh, nice.
I like those initial movies before they just became just very amateur hour.
Yeah.
It helped that they had better actors, and then it's like after 2018, then it's like, oh, let's stop giving you quality actors and let's start just rushing Bruce Willis's takes.
Right.
Nothing to choose from. But no, we're going to talk about plenty of actors who also got similar, like sitting at a desk barking orders. It'll be interesting how this goes. So Here on the show, we got J-Man. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Very good. Very good. We got Luke Geisler and Trevor Savert from Barely Critical.
Hello.
Barely.
Hello. We're here to be barely critical.
Just barely.
Yes.
If you need,
that sounded like you were doing a Harrison Ford impression right there.
if you want a hot take, we will give you approximately 23% of one, just barely.
Very warmed over take.
Yes.
A negative +1. Now, Dylan Shea Schlinder, how are you?
Dylan from Reels of Justice. Happy to be here.
Reels of Justice.
So we take the ultra critical line because movies can only be good or bad on our show.
The yang.
Yeah.
The yang
you
to
have
our
the
yang.
honor
Yes, that's
of
right.
working with the Mads themselves, Trace Beaulieu and Frank Conniff.
That's right. Frankie C and Trace, the good guys, good friends. You know, they come on the show every
ultimate
once in a
Michael
while.
Bay haters.
Oh yeah, but Frank Conniff came out to prosecute The Dark Knight.
That was
And
amazing.
That like he really went for it.
Not Rises, but the middle.
No, not the Dark. Yeah, not Rises. Rises, he probably would have won, but he went for the Dark Knight, and he went for the throat. It was fun.
Yeah. So we got another guest on here, John Reed from 30 something, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey guys, how's it going? Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
You sound great. A voice for radio.
Yes. Yeah, and a face for one too.
Face to match.
Careful now, guys. Come on. We got plenty of voice actors to prosecute in this session here.
Oh, God, that's true, isn't it?
The chopping block.
Well, apologies for running a few minutes late.
You
we
were
got a
quite
snowstorm
all
up
right.
here, and
It's a podcast. No one would have known.
no, they wouldn't.
Fair
In
point.
a world
We had
where-
my son and I. We had our own adventure in the car on the way over. I picked him up from his high school, and I was driving him back. And there's a pickup truck in front of us, and they must have hit a pothole or something. And that one of the rear tires just flew off and went up into the trees.
No.
Oh,
See,
God.
that's a pod racer.
It looked like it.
That's a free tire.
I thought of pulling over if I didn't think I'd get stuck in the ditch too. I thought of pulling over and just rolling down the window and being like, "Hey, if you try spinning, that's a good trick."
Right. I can loan you my land speeder, see if his dad gets in and be like, "Really? I'm changing a tire here. Get out of here." Oh, that's great. That's fucking great. So let's boogie. Let's party. So
Woogie.
I'm going to just highlight a few actors and everyone can just chime on in. And any that my stupid ass forgot to name, you can feel free to insert as well. And so let's start off with Mark Hamill. Obviously, this is the first role everyone knew him from. But did anyone ever bother with his other sci-fi knockoff movies? And before
I assume you mean Guyver. And
I was going to say Guyver's awesome.
100% yes.
Guyver was awesome.
Guyver is a dope movie. So what Guyver is basically Mark Hamill is just kind of like an average Joe. This weird alien thing lands on the planet. It gives him like this crazy body armor with these weird elbow spikes, and he fights mutants the whole movie.
Well, so I learned something about that movie because we actually just did that a couple months ago on our show. And
sweet.
I never watched this movie growing up, but as a kid, I knew the cover of the VHS because every video store I went to, I would do a double take. Wait a minute, is that Luke Skywalker? Luke Skywalker.
Right.
He's in another movie? I didn't think he was allowed to be in other movies. And so I knew this movie. I knew this VHS from growing up, but I never saw it. And so we did it a couple of months ago, and I was expecting exactly that. I was expecting, Mark Hamill's going to be the hero. This is going to be.
No, he's not. Yeah.
He's not. He's a
Yep.
side character.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck is this thing?
Nice.
And not only
The
that,
sequel was better.
here's another
he
Star
do
Wars.
Guyver too?
Was
he
Yeah,
in
Guyver 2
too?
is awesome. Guyver
He
2 is
wasn't in
way
Guyver
better.
2, but yeah.
He wasn't in it though. I don't think.
I
And
remember
there
liking
wasn't
Guyver.
even a
another
number
spoiler
2 in that
alert for the
title.
Guyver. Another spoiler alert for the Guyver is that it's got the first appearance of Jar Jar Binks in it too.
Ahmed Best, yep.
Ugh.
I was
the
going
ball
to
rolling.
Hey,
mention
cut
him,
us
but I
some slack.
didn't
He
want
does
to.
his best.
Well, there was that and Pull Boy drowning out the Fury, which everyone should
was-
see.
It was actually Jimmy Walker from Dynamite. Jimmy Walker.
Yeah.
He plays this alien character that sounds exactly like Jar Jar. And I'm like, all right. So George Lucas spent way too much time watching the Guyver. That's what I learned.
Anything for you, Marky? So I've been
Man, I thought
fortunate enough
Guyver
to
was going to be
see-
my ace in the hole. I kind of shot my load early here, boys.
No, it's fine. I mean, he's been in so many shows, Cosby, Streets of San Francisco, but I kind of just found it funny that the same year he was in Star Wars, he was also in the Ralph Bakski's Wizards, very similar kind of cartoon movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, if anyone's seen Corvette Summer, Big Red One, or even his junky sci-fi films like Slipstream or Time Runner, check him out. He's also the cop who dies at the beginning of Sleepwalkers. He's a psycho in the Michael Dudikoff movie Midnight Ride. So he had it figured out.
Yeah, but Mark Hamill would go on to have a pretty successful voice acting career, most famously
a little bit.
as the Joker in Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah,
I mean, his voice is the definitive Joker for a whole generation.
He's even briefly on Sequest and one of the Wing Commander games. So, I mean, yeah.
Oh, see, when you said voice acting, I thought you were going to go straight for the biker mice from Mars.
Oh, there's a reference.
I was thinking more of his Simpsons cameo as well, which I thought.
I was definitely one of the first cartoon versions I saw him in post Joker. But yeah, I mean,
he was the voice of Chucky too, right, in that garbage remake.
Yep, he was in Chucky.
You thought the remake was garbage? I kind of liked it.
I didn't watch it because I.
Well, then how can you say it's garbage, Jim, man?
I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident that it's garbage.
It's pretty watchable, but I got to rewatch it again.
I mean, if we're talking about Mark Hamill voice actings, I think we all forget the Fire Lord, Lord Ozai, as well.
Oh man, that is a great one as well. I actually just got done watching that whole series with my kids.
Fire and Ice, baby.
I grew up, me and my older brother, we grew up on Last Airbender, and yeah, just I learned my second time actually watching it that was Mark Hamill. I was like, that's the Joker, that's Luke Skywalker, and just impeccable villainry on his part as well. Like,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, he's got a very evil voice when he gets dialed in like that. It's pretty excellent.
Have you guys ever watched Metalocalypse? Replace the Senator?
No.
Is that a cartoon?
Yeah, Adult Swim. It's pretty wild show. But
he was the trickster in Flash.
He was. He reprised it on the recent show, and they connected it.
Yeah, that was cool.
If you should totally check out the indie crime film Sushi Girl. He gives a fun, diabolical performance. He's got insane hair. He's briefly on Criminal Minds. He's got started even on Chuck and a bunch of other ones. But when I got to Kingsman, I was like, oh my God, he's in this. He's the professor.
I saw that too. And he's just like a professor role. I don't even remember seeing him in Kingsman. But
yeah, he's like in the first scene. He's the guy.
He's the guy who the bomb is planted in. But yeah, it's a very non-Mark Hamill role. He only has like little subtleties. Like when he's first entering, he's like, hello.
Yeah, barely has any lines, but they got Mark Hamill to do that.
I'm sure he had fun.
If we had an actor we needed to blow up, who would it be? Mark,
who would it be?
He'll work for a sandwich, so let's get him on board. You know,
so many car crashes, and I got put up with this shit, man. It's cool.
You guys ever heard
priest, right? Was he the priest in Village of the Damned? Or
he does like a mind meld and then gets blown up, and obviously he does spoofing role Cockknocker and Jay and Silent Bob. So
yes, Cockknocker. Yeah, Cockknocker. Yes, that's right.
So I mean, what won't he be in? You know.
It's kind of interesting that he never really became like a big movie star, though. You know, like he never had anything that even came close to being Luke Skywalker again. I guess that would be a common theme tonight. Yeah.
He was Luke Skywalker with blue milk dripping down his face. You know, there's always that image.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, we're talking about Star Wars movies.
We're talking about non-Star Wars movies. This is true. We don't need to talk about Last Jedi.
Oh man, I wouldn't want to talk about any of them. Man, that new trilogy was bad.
That was painful.
Oh. Heated discussion, man. No, I'm just kidding.
But to be fair, I hate all three equally. I'm not picking or choosing. They're all trash, you know.
Well, yeah.
Especially, you know, in Star Wars, you had that perfect sequel trilogy in the Timothy Zahn books with Admiral Thrawn. It was right there. You had the blueprint, and Disney threw it all away. And this is what we get.
And Disney disowns the expanded universe, and you're like, why? Everything is there. It's golden.
Hey, there's still hope for Shadows of the Empire that could still be canon if they say the word. You know, they haven't messed it up so bad that we can't still have Shadows of the Empire. It's all good.
I think the fans have spoken enough to where Kathleen Kennedy's like, I'm going to silently walk away and give it to someone else.
Hopefully.
Favreau, you want it? You can have it. You just,
I'm not sure about that.
10 shitfests. But I mean, so just on a positive note, I think, has anyone watched the show Nightfall on Netflix?
Yes. Yeah, he's great in that.
Yeah, I just thought, man, Hamill, he just looks like Gandalf there with a giant ass sword and beard. And I'm like, but he's basically Obi-Wan, but he's playing a fictional knight during the 14th century. And I'm just like, this is a fun show that just doesn't get talked about enough. But I was just so happy when he was on a random talk show not too long ago and they showed a clip from that. I was like, awesome. For once, he's not talking for the billionth time about Star Wars. He's been promoting new stuff.
You catch the Skeletor in the Masters of the Universe, the new one?
Yeah, I wondered where I heard that voice. I was like, oh, of course it's him. It's Kevin Smith direction.
That was one of those that I'm listening to it. I'm like, wait a minute, that's got a little bit of. There's a little Joker in there.
I recognized the Allstate guy and Tony Todd, but I didn't recognize him at first. I was like, oh, okay, of course it's him. It's him. That I was just happy, because you hate it so much when everyone gets underused, and is like, how cool that they actually did utilize him.
That's good. I think everyone likes Mark Hamill too. You don't hear stories about him being a jerk or anything like that. Really, he seems like he's a good guy.
Oh, his biggest ongoing role since Star Wars has been Twitter.
Right. That's totally the best way to sum it up. Oh my God. So, what are our favorite roles of Carrie Fisher?
Oh boy.
Oh man.
I gotta say, my 100% favorite Carrie Fisher role. She had a guest spot on 30 Rock where she was an older comedy writer from kind of like the Watergate era, and Liz Lemon kind of looked up to her. And then it turns out like her whole life was a mess at the end, and she was really funny in that. It was really good.
I think I do remember that vaguely, and my sister was lining up. Oh, my icon!
And then Jack Donaghy's character, he says, "Never go with a hippie to a second location."
Yes. Oh, Alec Baldwin, man.
When he's hot,
right? Isn't it wild though how she just rewrote so much dialogue for female characters, most notably Renee Rousseau in any of her movies? I was like, that's interesting. I've heard the rumor that in that overrated Spielberg movie Hook, that at one point when they pass over the bridge, that's actually George Lucas and Carrie Fisher.
I read the same exact thing because, again, I'm sitting here thinking of like Carrie Fisher in other movies. Where's Carrie Fisher been in other movies? And then I saw Hook, and I was like, I don't remember seeing her at all in Hook. And I looked it up, and that's exactly what I saw. I'm just like, that's okay. And she was just credited as kissing woman on bridge. And I was like, okay, I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
She's because we go on our podcast, we go year by year, and so we've hit a bunch of them lately where she's been, roles that maybe I saw her a long time ago, but
the Time Guardian,
Time Guardian, Harry Met Sally, The Burbs.
The Burbs was definitely the first one I saw her in. Man with One Red Shoe.
The first time, because as a little kid, when I would watch other movies other than Star Wars, on the occasion that I did watch anything other than Star Wars, one of the first times I ever remember watching a movie and seeing another actor from Star Wars in another movie be like, holy crap, that's Princess Leia, was when she plays Jake's girlfriend in the Blues Brothers.
That and Austin Powers were where I realized, man, she's really fucking funny. Just does all these cameos sometimes as herself, and you're just like, yeah, I totally buy it. And yeah, her colorful life is just in and of itself pretty funny. And I mean, she did pretty good on that one sitcom, that Catastrophe, before it got canceled, but I just loved how it was kind of a mirroring of her crazy life. I don't know if anyone saw that one.
No.
No.
New. I mean, it's all good. Yeah. My sister introduced me to it, and it's one of those, it kept finding an audience. It's like it was on cable and then goes to streaming, and then it just kept getting talked about. And I was like, that's awesome. It's a wacky sitcom that won't die. The Community effect, I call it.
She seems to be just like in random, like I'm looking her up because I remember seeing her in lots of movies, like here and there, like, oh yeah, there's Carrie Fisher, but never like where it's like, oh yeah, she's in this whole movie. Like she was in Amazon Women on the Moon. I've seen that movie 100 times. That's like, I can't exactly remember.
100 times, damn.
Maybe not 100. I've seen it like, let's say 20 times or whatever. So it's like,
he runs the wiki.
Yeah.
She runs the wiki.
and it's like, yeah, she's in that. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, she just pops up here, and it's not like Mark Hamill where for sure that, oh yes, he's in that movie, definitely, right? Like Carrie Fisher, you have to be reminded sometimes. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot she was in The Burbs, right? Yes, So
and it took one a while to remember. It was like, oh, Postcards from the Edge, that was inspired by her life.
Oh yeah.
Like, she's in a ton. I'm like just
so much writing and producing, and sometimes just like you say, just a miscellaneous voice, or you hear her voice and then you see her on screen. You're like, oh, of course. So pretty invaluable, and I just like how her daughter is also pretty active on the acting scene. And,
carry on the legacy.
Yeah. So let's talk Billy Dee.
Oh, Two-Face, man. That was, oh, man.
What should have been. He should have been in
I would have loved
forever.
to have seen that. Yeah.
Would have been better than any of the direct radio shit he did around that time.
What about Undercover Brother? That was a great movie.
Right. So many cameos. And I loved how he appeared, I think, on 70's Show. They're like, hey, what else has Lando done? I'm like, oh my God, don't even start.
Very famously, the spokesman for Colt 45, and
yeah, baby, that was
and
a Ross romance.
He does not like that part of his legacy. I've read that he won't sign Colt 45 merchandise or anything, and he does not like talking about it.
Oh,
it works every time.
Yeah, it works for him too. It works for him too. Oh man, I mean, it's so wild too how he just would appear in some of the, he does Brian's song and then does just a bunch of blaxploitation films like The Hit and The Take, and then follows it up with just various other crime thrillers. He just was often playing the cool detective, and then Star Wars comes along, and he's already done with Diana Ross and all that other stuff. And I think Nighthawks doesn't get talked about enough either. Yeah. That's a fun precursor to Lethal Weapon in 48 Hours.
Yeah, another one in that mold he did was called Number One with a Bullet, which is another one of those kind of like buddy detective
films
movies.
Band.
Yeah, oh, dude.
I could talk forever where he's talking shit. Oh, totally. And don't you love the scene where he's just talking some shit, and then each time he's like, "Oh, never mind. I'm just talking to myself."
Yeah.
Like,
and again, good action. Like that's what those movies. That's what those movies were about. And he had the look for it. You know what I mean? He looked like a guy who was tough but smooth. It was
so
a tough balance. Yeah.
I think growing up, I noticed that canon was bad. Like I thought canon movies were good. I never got the memo that they were supposed to be bad. Like I just thought, oh, this is a great movie. This is awesome. Like everyone I watched, I'm like, this is like right up my alley. And
even 10 to Midnight.
Yeah, for sure. Why not? Of course. What are you talking about?
I love 10 to Midnight.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was gonna have to leave this. I was gonna have to leave early. I'm like, guys, I got to get out of here. I can't fucking be here with this. Yeah, no,
it was awesome. A test.
Yeah, it was a test. I passed. Yeah, no, that's an awesome movie.
I mean, you just got to allow yourself some fun. It's okay for people to have an ego that's clearly not perfect. It's okay.
Yeah, like they were always fun movies. Like it was like they delivered on what the poster and kind of the write-up said, right? Like, and there's no subverting anything.
We're doing an expensive movie overseas. Action.
Yeah.
Isn't that the story of how they would come up with half of their movies was somebody would draw up a poster?
And they also got fake investing by also claiming someone was in the movie, even though they weren't in the movie.
Like they would make the poster, they'd take the poster to go chat up some producer or something. They'd be like, oh, so we got this movie and it's see the shoe that's on the poster here, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be breakdancing. And
you'll get your money back, I swear. You'll get it back. I swear, man, I swear.
I love the break-in movies. I own both those. I like them.
Hey, man, it's all good.
I think every movie that has 2 in the title should end with Electric Boogaloo.
I 100% agree.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
Then you'll definitely love Midnight Ride, which had Mark Hamill, which I mentioned earlier.
One thing I also appreciate with Billy Dee is both of the Lego movies that came out recently. In the original, he voices Lando, and then in the Batman Lego movie, he voices Two-Face.
Yeah.
Totally great
Thing-
wink at both
thing on
iconic
brand.
80s movies. Yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing with the Lego Batman movie is, again, me and my dear friend Luke here, we went to go see it in theaters because what else are we going to do with our days? And we're standing in line and notice we're surrounded by women in their 40s. And we're like, these are a lot of women who are going to see the Lego Batman movie. And one of them turns to us and is like, this is for 50 Shades Darker, right? And Luke gasp, like he just heard something terrible and goes, sinners.
I mean, to be fair, we should have been aware that there's a line for the Lego Batman movie. That should have been our first cue. Something was off.
They could have just hit a demographic.
There's only so many jokes you can remember. I mean, you're gonna have to watch them 10 dozen times just to pin it down.
Those films are cinema sins. It's like it's a sin against cinema. So you're not too far off.
Peddling smut in our theater.
It wasn't even anything that David. I was like, I saw.
Not just
Shades
smut.
of Grey.
It's got to be Lego smut. That'd be
market.
Oh my god!
If you when you thought Hinte wasn't enough.
Are you horny but also love just putting bricks together? Do we have the film for you? Hollywood, here we come.
You want to see bricks going into holes?
Oh jeez. Yeah, Billy Dee Williams.
I'm glad we talked about
Billy Dee Williams and Lego
I've
porn.
seen a bunch of his shit. He was really cool as Gibbs' retired friend recently on NCIS, but the last time I saw him was when I was just scrolling randomly through Redbox back when DVDs and Blu-rays were still the rage. And there's this movie there called Bloodlines. It looks like a poor man's version of The Wire, and there he is on the cover with a slum face. I'm like, oh, that can't be good.
You're just
I gotta see this.
No.
It's on Tubi now, so that's definitely the place where it's best to see it, as opposed to pay $5 to one.
Oh yeah,
this
gotta
looks like
check
a
it out.
Maverick home entertainment movie.
Well, it's something that I think we're going to find in common with a lot of the actors and actresses we're talking about tonight is how they did a lot of guest spots on on TV shows. Like Billy Dee Williams.
TV shows. Yes.
Yeah, like Billy Dee Williams had a great guest spot on the show White Collar. He played an
glad someone
ex-con.
remembers that. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, first of all, White Collar is a pretty decent show. It was that early 2010s aesthetic from USA, kind of at the end of Monk and Psych and Burn
My
Notice.
sister denies that she had a Matt Bomer crush. I know that's a fucking.
Everyone has a Matt Bomer crush.
Everyone does.
Right? Jeez. The guy's impossibly handsome. None of us stand a chance.
Right? She stopped watching Chuck when they killed him.
Actually, we do stand a chance. The guy, he is a homosexual, so we'll be okay.
Good for him.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying we actually do have a shot, is all I mean.
There we go.
But anyway, my point is with Billy Dee Williams, he plays an ex-con who's coming back to this part of town where one of the Matt Bomer's friends lives, and he is kind of like him, only old now, right? So you can kind of see the track of his life. He'll kind of end up like Billy Dee Williams, or he can go a different way, So it's a neat little episode.
Don't be like me. Do as I say, not as I do.
Well, no, he wants to be like it. Billy Dee Williams is impossibly cool the whole episode. Again, he's super slick and super cool all the time. It's got to be in his contract,
I got to rewatch it. That's great.
I love Lando as a kid, though. I thought he was so cool. He had a cape and he ran Cloud City, and
at a time he redeems himself. While Han, had he not had that one final argument with Luke, would have totally taken his money and just let Luke probably die at the Death Star.
Yeah.
And Billy Dee, I mean, he was doing it for his city, so you could understand that brief traitorish angle,
Well, he's got to run that entire establishment. He can't,
man.
He's
basically he's both a pimp and a politician, man. You gotta earn your business, man.
The novels too, the expanding universe that Disney would ultimately throw out. The authors loved playing.
Sorry,
I know the authors loved using Lando. He's prominently featured in the Zahn trilogy. He's prominently featured I think it's was it K.W. Anderson who does the Jedi trilogy after the Thrawn trilogy?
Yeah, Kevin J.
he's-
Anderson is amazing, and he wrote
Yeah.
some great X-Files novels and plenty of other stuff. But he and Timothy Zahn, I mean, and plenty of other guys just do so good at just. You felt like they knew it better than anybody else.
Yeah, they did. And those two trilogies were such a good 1-2 punch. And Lando figures prominently in both of them because he gets some development in the movies, but like he's not the main focus. So he's a fun character to play with. So you have to imagine that Billy Dee was hoping they would adapt those because
at the end of Return of the Jedi,
he's got
very
three
nice.
books on his own, too.
I always wished at Return of the Jedi he could have just stolen away that Falcon.
Oh, that would have been
He was
great.
supposed to
wouldn't it?
die, though. I think he was supposed to die, and then they had to reshoot it or whatever because people were not happy.
Damn you, Lucas.
Yeah,
I
I wouldn't have been happy with Lando dying.
That's
I
why they
thought-
said he's like he's like, oh, he goes, I have a feeling I'm never going to see her again, and they were supposed to blow up, and then they're like, screw that. It's like,
What did I
But
have
Lando
some
had his own trilogy of
embarrassingly
books,
bad? So cut to bad slow motion Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On" plays.
That in that first cut of the movie, that yeehaw when he flies out of the Death Star, way different when he doesn't make it.
Oh God! And how about the fact that he almost dies in the Sarlacc pit and he just basically throws another guy to his death by just walking backwards? Ah! He's got my leg. Yeah, he's a cool ass dude, and no amount of bad movies can shield him from just his awesomeness. Even before he put the Star Wars hat on, he's just too cool for school.
Well, he's not the reason the movies he's in are bad either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
Oh,
That's a good point.
like
He's
he
just
always
slick
brings
and
it.
awesome.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
just some people have that immortality, and he's just one of those. Even when he was playing himself and just funny guest spots, everyone's like, "I want to see more of him." He's just too cool a person as an outside of acting to just. It's like, nah, I got nothing bad to say about you, dude.
And he's like you say, he's cool. He's forever Lando. Anytime I come across, whether it's on Tubi or whether I was staying up way too late at night and came across a movie that he happened to be on, inner monologue always has the Lando voice. And I see he's in a movie, I'm like, hello, what have we here? I don't know if anybody else does that, but the moment I see Billy Dee Williams in a movie, I'm like, hello.
Hello.
You truly belong here among my DVD collection.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So I love how the Porkins actor and some of the other Imperials have also often played German officers in the Indiana Jones movies. And I mean, anytime I see them now, I just like, hey, it's that guy. It's the guy from the Lucas camp, you know.
Lucas camp.
Or so I say Spielberg camp. I don't know.
They work together, you know.
They work
Disney
together.
camp.
But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Porkins is also in Batman. I think, isn't he the henchman who shoots someone or something?
He is, shoot, what's his character's name? He's the corrupt cop.
That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah. So there you go. There's a bunch of connections to the first Tim Burton Batman.
That was Eckhart, right? No, was that Eckhart?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
Think about the future.
Think about the future, yeah.
He turns from Billy Dee to Aaron Eckhart. That'd be fucking amazing.
Been drinking Drano, Knox?
Been drinking Drano, yeah.
Oh my God.
There ain't no bat.
Ain't no mountain high enough. All right, so let's be honest. Alec Guinness is basically the first folklore we ever saw him in was in Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Even before you get to David Lean's epics, you know, Bridge on the River Kwai and, you know, Lawrence of Arabia, or even, you know, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy miniseries. It's like, the dude is just too cool for school. To think that he had just such a miserable experience making it, and yet.
Yeah. I think he didn't like that people like really only knew him from that. And he's like, I was in Lawrence of Arabia and all this, and it's like, and Star Wars was the big thing. But I think had it gone on long enough, like with him, he would have been okay with it. Like eventually these actors become okay with it, because you have to think there's so many actors that get no work or that are never remembered for anything. It's better to have at least some sort of legacy. And, you know,
and I think the mature ones eventually figure out, hey, you hated working on it, but you know, it's a good movie. So it's just,
yeah, like would you rather got
he's
paid
good
and,
in it,
know,
you know?
like,
Yeah. Plus, he got paid a lot of money for it. So, like, yeah, what can you complain about?
It's not
that is what he said. He's like, I got paid so much money. It's good, you know.
That's good. I'm all
Life
good.
is good. Life is good. Oh man.
You know, one of my favorite movies that he did do, we recently did on Reels of Justice, was the original Lady Killers. If you've ever seen
from
that,
the 50s,
yeah, 1955, or if you've ever seen the remake, he plays the Tom Hanks character, the professor who's masterminding the whole thing. And I tell you what, he just looks so like evil and shifty, but he's still very polite and gentlemanly. So it's a great juxtaposition, and he just knocks that role out of the park, especially playing against
he owned the deceptiveness factor. It was like, that's totally why he was casted. He has the innocent face of a man who's, anything but that,
Yeah, and he had all the etiquette and everything. Like when he was talking, the old lady the lady who would be killed in the Lady Killers is Mrs. Wilberforce.
The lady who would be killed.
Yeah,
great name.
He just has a great line where they're trying to scare her, saying that she'll be implicated in the crime, and he goes, "We won't let them get you, Mrs. Wilberforce." It's just impeccably delivered.
He has that, and there's this other spy novel that he did. That's an adaptation. I forget. It's like from I don't know, 47 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, like you say, a lot of his roles do. He just knows how to enter a scene. Just the staging is just impeccable, and even a Passage to India, one of David Lean's final movies, he's also has another brief role in, despite the brown washing in that. But he's just really, I mean, I can't blame him for even wanting to do all these various ambassador roles or fatherly figures, and like you say, anti-hero or polite villain. Just because he just had that kind of range to him, and that's why he often landed him.
Yeah, he brought credibility to any role he took. I think that's one of the things that actually helped Star Wars so much, is that Obi-Wan is immediately a credible kind of figure, because if you think about all the characters you've met up until you meet Obi-Wan, like Uncle Owen is pretty stilted. Luke is kind of whiny. And then the movie gets serious when you meet. I mean, don't get me started on C-3PO and how annoying he is. But,
oh
dear. And then
I love C-3PO though. There's a guy who does these breakdowns of characters. He did a 3-hour breakdown on a C-3PO character and the importance of that character in the Star Wars trilogy. It's amazing.
3 hours.
He breaks down he basically is the emotional.
I always found Daniels to be a snob in interviews where he acted like he hated working on all of these movies, and yet that's all anyone remembered him for.
I met him, and he was really kind to me. We talked for quite a while, and I was at a
but not to Kenny Baker.
Not. Oh yeah,
you dwarf, get out of my way! You never hear about that? I was like, damn, dude, you're such a prick.
But yeah, anyway.
Dude is nearly suffocating to death, being in a hot, robotic suit. You're just wanting to trip him. Oh, but we can't not talk about Warwick Davis, man.
Yeah, maybe we can. Let's go to the next guy.
What about Willow, the leprechaun?
The leprechaun. But I mean, I'm sorry. Willow is just immortal.
That's a great movie.
I gotta say, Willow did not age well for me. When I was a kid,
I keep being told. But I mean,
dude, when I was a kid, I loved it. I loved Val Kilmer's character. When they all got turned into pigs, it was horrifying and gave me nightmares. And I've gone back and rewatched it. It's like, oh man, this movie is a slog. It is.
Oh no,
not for me. I must say.
You don't think
I watched it like a month ago, I think, and it held up pretty good. Yeah. I got the Blu-ray, whatever special edition it was, and I hadn't watched it, and I just watched like a month
I recall
ago.
the monster really not looking good, even though it was stop motion by, Phil Tippett. But I will admit the brownies are annoying, but I just love all the magic and the other folklore in it. That's what makes it for me. And it's funny. Peter Jackson was quoted as, "I want to make a fantasy film when making Lord of the Rings, but I don't want it to be like Willow. I want it to look like a fantasy version of Braveheart." I'm like, okay.
At least they tried, I give a lot of credit to somebody who's trying to do something kind of interesting and neat, and not just let's take an IP and
if anything, I mean, it's kind of more Lord of the Rings than actual Star Wars from where Lucas was going with that. And I don't know, I would have preferred that in general had he just come up with ideas and just giving them to his friends Coppola or Ron Howard to do, instead of just, constantly making questionable decisions and pissing off fans. So.
Should there have been a Willow trilogy? He should have done like the Willow trilogy. Like it's like there should have been an Indiana Jones.
Well,
Star
you won't
Wars,
have to wait for
Willow,
long because the miniseries is going to come to Disney Plus pretty soon.
Oh, I'm sure that'll be trash.
Willow miniseries?
Yeah,
Willow Cinematic Universe.
Oh man, no one wanted this. Why are they doing this?
Nobody wanted it.
Yeah, jeez.
Fat Val Kilmer.
I mean, if it's as good as the Dark Crystal show, it can be fun.
I mean, I'll take Fat Val Kilmer. I'll give you that much. I like Val Kilmer.
I doubt he'll be in it. I'm sure they'll just recast him.
Yeah, poor Val Kilmer.
I love Val Kilmer too, but man, he gave Steven Seagal a run for his money.
Not really a run.
Not really.
Yeah.
And I hate Steven Seagal. I'm just saying.
Put a flight of steps between them, it'll be fine.
I don't know, man. Michael Madsen seems like he's slender. So how about Dennis Lawson? Doesn't it blow your mind that Ian McGregor's granddad or uncle is Dennis Lawson, is Wedge Antilles in the original Star Wars movies?
Wedge, another character who got a lot of love in the expanded universe, and that was thrown away. I don't even think he's in the new trilogy. Is he even in the new trilogy?
I think for a split second, along with the guy who plays the Mon Calamari guy, Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. But yeah, it's annoying because they're just literally recreating camera angles to where they might as well have just used archived footage instead of just shooting new shit. And it's like,
man,
he is. He's got like a 2-second scene in. Was it Rise of My Blood Pressure? Yeah.
He's in Rise of Skywalker.
I was in Rise of My Blood Pressure.
Yeah, now he gets it.
Get out of here. You'll kill opening night. That's great. That's fucking great.
Oh, man.
But he's mainly stuck to just doing like international TV, but I just would always light up when I would see him in one of those. There was this one show that kept coming on A&E called Horatio Hornblower, based on the actual English colonial wars back in the day. And he would show up in there and he just really stood his ground. And I was like, you know what an underrated actor, but I can see why he's stuck to kind of doing a lot of theater and just British television. It's just was his shtick. And in all fairness, that's pretty much what most of George Lucas's casting pretty much consisted of. Cast people, get crew members who worked on documentaries and hire people who worked in TV in England.
That's where the real acting is.
It worked for Hellraiser, so
all that Shakespearean blood, it's really doing them well.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually lived in England for a few years, and that's where I used to see him. So we'd be flipping through channels, and there'd be some like BBC TV show. And
coming to PBS.
Yeah, he's playing some cop or inspector, because every British show has
always an inspector. Yeah. And wouldn't you trust him if you were an inspector?
My favorite thing about him is, and I thought maybe it was one
besides
of those
everything.
Besides everything, and I thought maybe it was like one of those alternate universe Berenstain Bear kind of things, was when I was a kid and Star Wars was pretty much dead.
Shit.
There had been nothing had come out for years, and so my dad got me an audiobook of Heir to the Empire, and I'm like, wait, what is this? There's new Star Wars? And he's like, yeah, here, just a couple of cassettes. It's an audio. I found it at the bookstore. You listen to it. You'll have fun. And so I listened to it, and it had Dennis Lawson reading the audiobook. And I was like,
amazing.
I love this audiobook. Well, so then I have it, but the tapes are kind of worn out. They're sitting in a drawer somewhere. And so then I went to go download it off of Audible or somewhere like that a little while ago. It's a completely different person reading the story. I'm like, no. I gotta have
no. Jeff Goldblum style. No.
I'm used to Wedge reading this. It's not right unless Wedge is right. So now I'm trying to eBay these cassette tapes to find the awesome one. That's not what Thrawn sounds like. Thrawn doesn't. No. Mm-mm.
That's a way better book. I will have to check those out because the most I had. I mean, I read a bunch of those books. I even read Rogue Squadron books, and obviously would go over to a friend's house and play the Rogue Squadron video games. And I think he reprised those roles, if I'm not mistaken, or they had a good sound alike or archive sound effects of them. But you just realize how invaluable a person Wedge is. This is like, this dude is literally commanding an entire fleet and just second in command to a Jedi guy. Just that's an invaluable role, and he just looks so confident inside what is basically a closed off set, pretending to pilot a ship, which I can't say about everyone else. It's like half the time they look no less uncomfortable than the actors on the prequels looked at, where they just weren't used to blue screens or being on a giant England set.
Well, that was what was great about the EU, is because you get a character like Wedge, and pretty much the only thing he ever said was, look at the size of that thing. And
right.
So much love in the Rogue Squadron books and the all the other stuff in the EU. I'm like, I loved his character in the EU.
Yeah, totally.
Man, in the EU, he had a whole book. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. I'll look it up when I'm done talking, I guess.
I think it is actually just called Antilles, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
Well, no, it's like the starfighters of Arjumar or something. It's this whole planet.
Oh, there's definitely another one like that, yeah.
Yeah, this whole planet's based around ship-to-ship combat, and Wedge is sent there as an ambassador, and everyone wants to like fight him in his X-Wing and everything. And it's really cool. So it's like all about like Star Wars dogfighting and stuff. It's really cool.
There's one called Wedge's Gamble.
Yeah,
yes, there was that one too. Yeah, that one came out like years ago, but yeah, I've recalled it was a bestseller. And I mean, it was always just fun, even just rewatching the movies, because then you would try and spot him, because you kind of forget he's in the first one, and he just becomes a big staple in Empire, where he's showing them how to take down the giant walkers, and then by Jedi you're just like, yeah, he's basically going to be at the start of every battle. And I believe everything he's saying. And we can't not talk about James Earl Jones.
Oh man, where did we begin?
Of course.
False Doom. I like J-Man's excellent. I love this guy.
Right. The fact that he was almost forgotten about is like, and he was recredited in the special editions, but he wasn't credited in the original cut. I'm like, that just pisses me off.
Do you want to hear a disturbing thing that my buddy has prophesized? I hope this is not true, but he's saying about this Obi-Wan series coming out that they're going to have, what's his face? What's the guy's name? Anakin or whatever. Whatever the actor's
Hayden
name
Christensen.
Hayden Christensen, yeah.
Terrible
that
actor.
he's going to be the voice, of Darth Vader. And they're going to try to make it sound a little bit like James Earl Jones, and they're going to slowly phase out James Earl Jones, and they're going to replace it with Hayden. That's his prediction.
How dare.
Man.
Because he's really bleak on these things. I'm like, oh, dude, if that happens, it's going to be a riot. But why else is Hayden Christensen in that show? Like, it's Darth Vader's a mask and a voice.
I think they're going to show flashbacks, but then they're going to cut to the other stuff. But then I'm just like, okay, well, whatever. He looked the part. He just didn't have any range. And I've liked other movies he's been in, like Takers and everything, but he just doesn't have any range to me. And I was hoping to keep this positive, but I can watch the prequels, but I can't handle him anytime, he's just talking about sand. And I understand what Lucas is going for, even though he's not great with dialogue and he could have gotten a rewrite, but it's just like, yeah.
But it's coarse and it gets everywhere.
It does, though. I'll give
it
sounds like an incel who doesn't know how to ejaculate. He's just one of those.
What?
His first time talking to a girl. We've all been there.
I must feel something.
When you were in junior high talking to your first crush, did you not also talk about all the sand you get in your pants whenever you go to the beach?
No.
Who hasn't been there?
How did it get in there?
I went to the beach. We've been over this.
It sounded like you were doing your best Bill Shatner there. To the beach.
To the beach.
Over there.
There's sand.
I'm going to derail this completely.
I don't like sand.
Is there anyone who's familiar with Bill Shatner singing Rocket Man?
How can there not be? Don't call yourself a Shatner fan if you haven't heard of Rocket Man.
Thank you. I talk to people who are not cultured, and I'm like, have you ever heard Will Shatner sing Rocket Man? And they're just like, what? And I'm like, how dare you?
I talk to people who've seen Boston Legal but haven't seen TJ Hooker. I mean, come on.
Oh man, Boston Legal does not hold up. I went to rewatch it and it was pretty painful. I mean, he's great. James Spader's great, but
at least it was rough. At least it was in on the joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Years before Me Too. I love David E. Kelly though, so what do I know? His dark comedy just, I don't know, it just gets me every time.
Oh, dude, he did Lake Placid. I mean, David E. Kelly is funny. I'm not taking anything away from him.
He is.
Like, I just don't know if I would give him a whole TV show. Yeah.
I mean, it depends. I mean, some of his recent stuff has been pretty rough, but I still love Chicago Hope because
I mean, he thinks he's the Aaron Sorkin of comedy. I think that's the problem.
That's fine. We could totally do a special on him.
I don't want to talk about David E. Kelly that much.
What about James Earl Jones from Alan Quatermain and the Lost City of Gold?
Amazing role. Everyone should see it.
I've got the poster in my room looking at it right now. I've got the poster up on the wall, yeah.
But it is so wild how essentially he just, he was the voice of CNN. And you got to love City, City Limits on Mystery Science Theater.
I got to meet James Earl Jones once.
Oh, wow.
When I was when I was in university, there was my history teacher said you could get credit for a test if you go listen to James Earl Jones speak, and we did. Yeah. And so I went to the auditorium where he was speaking that night, and he read this essay he wrote actually about like Shakespeare, and it was very strange, and no one was expecting that. They were expecting to talk about his autobiography that he had just published, but no, he read this essay, and a lot of people were like getting up and leaving, and it was very strange. And at the end, I was walking by and I was trying to get my professor's attention so he would see me and know I was there so he get credit. And he was talking to James Earl Jones at the time, and the professor turns and sees me, and so I give him a thumbs up like, hey, I was here. And then James Earl Jones turns around and gives me a thumbs up. And I was like, oh, sweet. Yeah. And so he waves me over, and I shook his hand. I was like, it's an honor to meet you. It was a great essay or whatever the hell it was you did, because I tell you, it was bizarre. Like he was not there talking about his life like everyone thought he would. But no, he seemed very gracious. And then that's my James Earl Jones story. Got to shake his hand.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then Twitter forgot his birthday.
Oh. But I mean, he's really come a long way, though. I mean, and it's wild how you brought up, Conan the Barbarian. I think that is kind of his second best known role. If it's not the Jack Ryan movies, if it's not Coming to America,
or the Lion King, maybe, and Mufasa.
Yeah,
well, there you go. Yeah, you want to go into voice acting? Yeah, there's that.
There's Shoeless Joe, or sorry, no, what's the not Shoeless? The
Terrence
Shoeless Joe. Sorry, Feel the Dreams.
Feel the Dreams, yeah.
Feel the Dreams.
Yeah, there you go. Feel
Baseball.
The Dreams.
Are we all forgetting the voice that came from the gate from the 2000s animated hit Robots?
I like Robots. That was a cool movie.
Robots, that was James Earl Jones. He spoke from a gate. Iconic role.
Awesome.
Iconic role, playing a Darth Vader voice parody role, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
I would like to point out. I want to point out a movie that nobody has brought up yet, which I think is a
Blood Tide
gem of his, is Soul Man. Because everybody should watch that movie right away.
I mean, if you want to,
we did that movie on our podcast a little while ago, a couple of years ago, and it was just so awkward to talk about. We're like, guys, how do we even comment on this movie? I'm not 100% sure. James Earl Jones is awesome. All right, good episode. We'll see you guys later.
I was going to say that.
Oh, I can't go early? Damn.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen, there is a video, and I don't remember who does it. There's a video on YouTube where it's clips of Darth Vader. It's Darth Vader scenes from the different Star Wars movies, but they have replaced Darth Vader's dialogue with James Earl Jones' dialogue from his other movies.
That's awesome.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
That seems
It is
amazing.
Absolutely hilarious.
I'm going to look that up.
We got to check this out.
I have to be on record, though, that my favorite movie of his is The Hunt for the Red October, because that just might be like my favorite movie. And
he even kind of co-narrates it. And
Harrison Ford's in it, too? No, wait, Harrison Ford's not on that one. That's Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin,
Yeah.
different.
You're right.
Different hothead.
Different hothead.
But
Say
I mean,
hothead or pothead?
Well, I
There's a lot
said
of-
hothead, but it is true. Harrison does love him some.
He's got the hot hand, but.
Oh my God!
What? This is coming out next year, right? We've got the time passed, right?
I'll get
Like
this
to record
episode
very much in
published as soon as I can. But I totally recommend the River Niger. what's the other one he did? You guys were mentioning Conan the Barbarian and all these other movies. You should totally see Blood Tide. It's often on one of those Mill Creek, horror movie packs. It's just a weird ass 80s movie. You should totally see it. Where he's having to take down this mythical beast. But I mean,
that sounds awesome.
Well, yeah, it's got a monster and James Earl Jones.
Yeah, that's 10 out of 10.
It's so much fun. But yeah, The Great White Hope. He's even in Swashbuckler and plays Alex Haley on one of the Roots spinoffs. And how can you forget Exorcist 2?
Oh, yes, the heretic.
Is he the heretic?
Totally. And Best of the Best.
Best of the Best, man, yeah.
Who else would you want to play mentor Eric Roberts? But it is wild how they kept his role in Sneakers such a secret. And then, he just shows up and you're like, he's the head of the NSA? Oh, my God.
I think Thulsa Doom and Darth Vader are the same character. It's like he just kept living on. He put his
no. It's the neighbor, Mr. Myrtle, in the Sandlot.
Sandlot.
Those guys are totally the same person. But he has a great brief arc on Homicide: Life on the Street. He's the prosecutor on Gang Related with Tupac and Dennis Quaid. So that was pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, the rest of the time he was pretty much just the go-to guy, just showing up on sitcoms and Hallmark movies, and it's all good. He'd earned it.
King Jaffe Joffer.
Yes, King Jafar. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he was the voice of CNN. This is CNN.
This is CNN. This shit writes itself.
News.
Welcome to CNN. Welcome to CNN. Oh. Yeah, that would be great if they had some epic Star Wars music in between.
Welcome to CNN.
That's how they should do the news. They should do the Star Wars scroll right by.
Panic.
War in Ukraine.
Oh man. It claims on IMDb he used to use it as his handle on his CB radio. Darth Vader, he used it as his CB radio, but stopped it when it was frightening people.
Oh, God.
Yeah, those CB radio users are a jittery bunch.
Yeah.
Apparently, man.
What do you mean? I'm recording this from a CB radio right now.
How did you know?
10-4, come on back now.
Come on now,
10-4,
man.
good buddy.
Good buddy, yeah.
Right, good old buddy. Good old buddy.
Got a convoy starting up here with Rubber Duck.
Oh my God. 1040.
What about the Sprint commercial? I mean the classic Totes McGoat.
Oh, where he did the splits. I remember
Totes
that.
McGoats. I forgot about that.
That was a great ad. That was what, circa 05, 06, and yeah. My brother and I were so impressed. He's doing the splits. Awesome. Oh, man. Can you even YouTube that?
You could YouTube anything nowadays.
Let me see if I can YouTube it.
It's all right.
Sprint ad.
So just gotta splice it in right here.
I might as well,
You should. It'll be great.
Let's do it. Oh my God. And Malcolm McDowell's in the ad? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Shit. Oh man, that's fucking great.
Malcolm McDowell's had to do voices for Star Wars or something at this point, right? Maybe.
Because Captain Kirk, that's as close as he got.
He's a Star Trek guy. They can't cross. It's like there's
a handful of like Brent Spiner's done a voice in a Star Wars cartoon, so a few people crossed over.
People's heads will explode. They're like, no, it's too many. We can only take like one or two. Like, is he Data? Is he this other guy? I don't know.
I mean, it's whatever you got to do.
He did. I was looking it up. Malcolm McDowell did a voice of Minister Hydan in Star Wars Rebels.
I told you.
There you go. Eventually, you immigrate.
They all find their way.
George Takei's in both franchises, for God's sake. So
Oh my.
That's great. I love that.
And the connections continue. Malcolm McDowell was in Captain Jake and the Neverland Pirates from was it Disney Junior, and I think Mark Hamill was a voice actor in that one too.
There you go, man.
It just keeps going.
Well, Disney's going to own everything, so
That's
it won't
true.
matter.
Yeah,
At some
Waiting
point
for
it'll
them
all
to
be the
go to
same.
Paramount and do a whole Star Trek versus Wars.
Oh,
In 5 years,
God,
it's going to be like Disney presents the Jacked Up Review Show podcast. And
Oh, stop! Why are you trying? Is there a reason you're trying to enhance my ego here, my friend?
Well,
Nothing is greater than the power of the Force.
the power
Send me
of the
some
Force.
Disney money. I'll take some Disney money.
Oh, I'd sell out to Disney in a heartbeat. Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
easily. Last Jedi's the greatest film ever. Come on, guys.
Oh, I draw a damn line.
You fool! It's a package deal. We all have to sell out.
We all
I
have
mean,
to
if this gets you 10, I don't know. What does this get you? Does this buy you 10 free circle jerks? What does this get you?
You get a
Disney? I don't know.
when you go
They have
to
a bit
the
of an image, you know.
This is
when
not
you
a
go to the
free
parks, you
circle.
get the churros 20% off, so you only have to spend $45 on a fucking
The cheapest of the cheap, but hey, no.
Still got to wait in line for the rides,
Happy
though.
ending
So.
is
No,
a happy
absolutely
ending.
no. You still use Fast Pass, still full price. You still have to take out a fucking mortgage for a
Full
pass.
price. Oh man. Damn, dude. Way to take out the guilty.
This is why the Barely Critical podcast is selling out to Paramount Plus. All right.
Oh, I tell you what, I would be fine with Disney buying Paramount if they killed the Picard show. I mean, oh God, I did not like that. I love Star Trek, second to no man, but man, I did not like Picard.
I think it's gonna keep getting great.
I think it's going to be terrible. Spoilers. He's a robot now. It's stupid.
Oh, God.
Where else would he
didn't-
go? He's becoming older. He's. It was
Just
a way
not do
better
it.
closure after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just don't do it. Thank you,
Don't do it. Like, Star Trek ended. There's real Star Trek, which is the real Star Trek, and then after
see,
that,
how
it's all
they
over.
ended Star Trek was terrible. And Nemesis, no, thank you.
No, Nemesis was great. Come
No,
on.
I'll take
Tom Hardy
Nemesis over
overacting.
everything.
I'll
that
take
JJ does.
Thank you, Jay, man. I'll take Nemesis
I'll
over
half
Picard.
agree in that the Abrams movies were not good, but yeah.
They're awful trash. It's not good. They're
Actually, the second one was a
awful.
neat idea. I kind of
No.
like the idea of like if the Federation's like, holy shit, how are we going to go to war? Well, let's get that warlord we shot out into outer space and unthaw him. You know, that's a neat premise.
It's great
but as far
until
as
you're like,
execution,
he's Khan. Oh, I'm like, no.
yeah, but
he's
they're like,
just-
it's like, but Khan has no relation to those characters in that timeline. So why would it matter? Like he's like, I'm Khan. Okay, who cares? We don't know who you are.
it's a
Well, yeah,
mirror universe.
it's
so then
bad.
it's just
It's
like,
awful.
okay.
well,
whatever.
his ego was so big, he thought that everyone would remember him from the eugenics wars. You know what I mean? That's like he thought he'd be remembered and celebrated. Would be my guess.
Well,
I mean,
they thought they were clever in reversing the Spock dying, or like the Kirk and Spock thing. It's like, yeah, well, it didn't make sense because Kirk was always emotional and Spock wasn't. So Spock making a sacrifice, which shows that he is part human, and that's an emotional
Oh,
thing.
see
to do.
what we
That's where
did
that
there? We
mattered,
reversed the plot twist. Clever.
It's like, oh, so clever. Oh, no.
These
Now it's Kirk who does
millennials
it.
love it. These old guys hate it.
I
but they're
think it
gonna
was just
die.
because Zachary Quinto could yell Khan better than Chris. Like they probably had Chris Pine read it a few times. Like he cannot scream. We need to.
Oh,
we need to-
man.
Yeah, we got to reverse this quick.
Yeah.
Reverse course.
Just
Because
move the
when I-
camera to the other side.
Let's
and
have a
go.
South Korean play a Japanese American.
Hey,
Hey!
that's colorblind casting. This is the future. You know, it's fine.
This is the future.
I think I almost got kicked out of when I went to go see Star Trek Into Darkness. I think I almost got kicked out of the theater because it gets to that scene where Kirk is dying. And he's like, you know, that's that scene from Star Trek 2. And they're like, I have been and always shall be your friend. And I'm like, no, he's not.
Like from one movie ago, from one
What,
movie
15
ago?
minutes ago, you hated each other and now you're
Yeah.
best friends for life? No.
Exactly. It's
Oh
so
yeah, I
stupid.
hated when Spock Prime was like, "Well, you know, I didn't want to interfere because it was important that you guys became buddies." I'm like, they barely became buddies. You could have
Yeah.
saved a lot of time. Come on.
And wait a minute, why were you in the theater for that movie? That got glossed over pretty quickly. I saw the first one in the theater. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to see any more of these.
Well, here's the thing. If it's Star Trek, you kind of suck it up and you find the good stuff in the bad, but the problem is like, yeah, when you suffer through bad Star Wars, it's just bad. So it's like,
let's put it this way. I love going to the theater so much. I have seen both of Yahoo Serious's movies in the theater.
Oh, you poor child.
Oh, young Einstein's a masterpiece.
Child.
There's got to be a better way to get popcorn, John. Come on.
I mean, I'll do gay porn before I see a Yahoo Serious movie. Just saying.
Oh man.
Isn't that what those were?
What movies are you guys?
John really likes going to that little theater down the block there.
I'll suffer for you, Ball, and his version of Star Wars before I watch Yahoo Serious.
Jeez.
I'll watch all
Billy
the
Dee
terrible
Williams.
movies that win Oscars. No, we're past Billy Dee Williams. Let's go on to Natalie Portman. Why she's awesome.
But she's one of the lucky ones. She's had a pretty good career post Star Wars. Not a guarantee.
It's like she was in 2 giant blockbusters before, like Leon the Professional and Heat. That's a great way to start your movie career.
Yeah.
A great movie she was in that I don't feel like gets the recognition. Annihilation. I can't.
Annihilation.
That was bad.
Annihilation.
That was bad. Alex Garland has great ideas, but he never knows how to end them.
I didn't mind the movie. Like, I don't think it was offensive to cinema. Like, I just feel like
no, but it was still so anticlimactic. I was like, really? That's what they did and got all this vile and.
Oh yeah. I get it.
It was a Book of Eli type mush. I'm like, yeah, no, sorry. By the whole blind man goes across the desert and knows everything.
Yes, but God is guiding him, right? That was the
yes.
Yeah.
I was a holy man, a holy black man, and I'm awesome because I'm. Denzel Washington should be in a Star Wars movie, but no, don't do that.
No, I don't think he should actually.
No.
He's too awesome.
I think Natalie Portman gets rewarded for like minimal effort. It's like, yeah, I'm here. I said my lines. Oh, cool. Okay.
She had really awesome wardrobe. Yep. She was my princess.
In the Thor movie, she literally just sleepwalks through the
like, God.
Hey, why don't we reward you by giving you the hammer? Oh, yeah.
I'd hammer you, Natalie.
Oh, okay. How about we talk about something where she's actually really good? And that was Black Swan, directed by Darren Aronofsky.
I have Black Swan on mine. Yeah.
I love that. I love everything that Darren Aronofsky actually does. I think he's a great director. But
you love depressing movies? The nerve.
Well, yeah. No, she kills it. Go ahead, Trevor.
The only issue I have with Black Swan is I can't unassociate it from, I think it was Scary Movie 4. They parodied it.
Why are you watching these movies?
Because I hate myself.
Just self-torture at this time.
Exactly.
Torture. He's Jack Bauer. He's torturing himself.
Where's
the movie?
Like Black Swan has, this love scene and it's, it's very tasteful and stuff. And then you go to the Scary Movie and they literally like have 2 taco shells rubbing together. And that's the image I only have now when it's like whenever I watch Black Swan. It's just
69, baby.
Exactly. It's 2. They have 2 train tunnels, not even 2 trains, 2 train tunnels just bashing into each other. Like in Scary Movie, and just like, and that's all I can think of.
Cinema.
It's like it's a very serious movie, and it's a very well done movie. But because I have this fucked up brain that I was cursed with, all I think about are the lesbian
fucked up
references.
Than mine?
Yes,
man.
Yeah, I just think of the lesbian references from Scary Movie 4, and I can't.
That's great. I can.
Black Swan though, amazing. Yeah.
So. I just love her comedies just because she can do it, but she's just very light. And she was a good sport, yes, about those movies, just saying, hey, it's kind of more of a kid-friendly crowd versus, the epics of the 70s and 80s. And, I think she's just a very smart person. I can see why she's become an activist and filmmaker recently. I thought Jackie was really good, even V for Vendetta.
Yeah, V was cool.
Mm.
I mean, when she was on SNL doing those rap battles, that was just unexpected. It's like, I did not expect that from you.
Mars attacks anybody?
I mean, just being a foul-mouthed person in a SNL rap, that's pretty funny. But Jane Got a Gun, I think you guys would like. It's just a pretty straightforward Western. Your Highness was a fun medieval. Or we can't. That was basically Willow if it was funny.
Didn't she play the kid in Heat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Closer, don't recommend. That's just depressing as fuck. Where she plays a stripper.
Wait, go back to that one. What was that?
I totally recommend Anywhere But Here, Where the Heart Is. I forgot she cameoed as herself in Zoolander. Mars Attacks. That's right. She's like the president's daughter.
Man, Mars Attacks, I always thought was such a great movie, and I still do, but I didn't realize it was so poorly received when it came out. I was a kid when I saw it, and I'm like, this is the funniest movie I've ever seen in my life.
How dare everyone have fun?
Yeah. I mean, just seeing Tom Jones, like, fly a plane, it's just like, what more do you want? Come on.
Tom Jones.
I mean, what are you going to make out of those cards, right? Like, it was trading cards, so they did the best that they could. It's like a trading card.
Trading cards, yeah.
Like, that's where that came from, I think. So, I mean... He did what he could with that. He really expanded that concept. So, and all of the deaths from the trading cards are in the movie, like people getting zapped and like melted and all that.
That's fucking amazing. I gotta get these cards. Especially
you can actually get them digital. You can get them on like Kindle or something.
Nice.
Like
Too cool. So let's talk about why Ian McGregor's awesome.
Oh, hello there.
He played Jesus in a movie recently. That's just amazing.
The Jesus?
Yep. Played Jesus Christ in a movie.
Oh, wow. Isn't he a little old for Jesus? I don't know. How old was Jesus?
That dude doesn't age.
33.
I was going to say, people keep pulling pranks, like even from the new Kenobi poster.
I love that meme that keeps going around.
People crop it and they put a Bible verse on it and they post it on Facebook and they say like Jesus is good all the time, and all these like women in their like 40s and 50s are like, you're right. Literally, they know it's Ian McGregor and not Jesus.
Oh man,
and that's been a long going thing. Like I've noticed it so many times scrolling through Facebook, seeing all my relatives being racist and stuff. Facebook.
Say amen.
Yeah, and it's like
you got 10 seconds before I unfriend you on Facebook.
Yeah, but I see a picture and it's just like this post if you love Jesus, and I'm like, that's Ian McGregor.
I bet you won't repost this.
It's like, I like Ian McGregor, so do I like this post, or like what do I do?
How do I respond to this, man?
I gotta say my favorite Ian McGregor movie is definitely Moulin Rouge. I think that movie is the tops.
Nice.
Yeah,
I thought it was good too. Yeah.
You ever see Eye of the Beholder, which was a pretty giallo themed kind of serial killer movie he did?
Is that the one with Ashley Judd too?
Yeah.
Actually I have. And that's the one where she befriends the blind guy, right?
I think so. But I just loved how he was in psychological thrillers like that and Stay.
No, that is a good movie.
And it's just and even Cassandra's Dream is like, this dude does deep stuff.
He's also been specializing in the live action Disney remakes. So I know
that money, man, but he's at least on Fargo, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, Fargo. He was great in that.
Son of a Gun is a great gangster movie he's in as part of a robbery crew, and apparently he filmed Jane Got a Gun around the same time that A Million Ways to Die in the West was there, so that's why he did a cameo in both.
And
what about Dr. Sleep? I thought that was really good.
Just going to say that.
We got to talk about that. August Osage County, Our Kind of Traitor, even The Island. Just fun blockbuster
I
movie.
did like The Island. That with Michael Clark Duncan's in that as well. That's a good one.
Yes, man.
Yeah, man.
There's Birds of Prey. There's Black Mass.
Have not seen that one. I'm burnt out on the superhero movies,
he's having fun.
Save yourself on the Birds of Prey.
I gotta invite you to roast all the Marvel and DC movies.
I don't even want to roast them. I don't care enough about them.
Well, that's fine. We got to just introduce to people that, hey, time's up.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. If
you don't want to hear your favorite filmmakers bashing these, then you got to stop making them.
That's true.
I'm waiting for William Friedkin or Roman Polanski. Not that I would care what Polanski has to say, just to say something like that. These movies are killing our competition. The resistance.
we were scheduling a guest, and we said, "What movie do you want to do?" And he said, "Oh, I'll do any movie except for The Internals. That movie is cinematic melatonin."
It was brutal.
Oh shit!
It was awful.
Oh man.
I haven't gotten the willpower to watch it. I haven't.
It's all good.
I bit the bullet. It was not an enjoyable experience. I did my taxes well, and the taxes were more interesting.
Oh, I haven't even done my taxes yet. Shit. Something's bad when you want to do the most mundane paperwork that's required.
It was a hard
It looks terrible. It makes no sense. Nothing. There's nothing compelling going on. All the characters just say dialogue and then walk off the screen.
I still got to see it, but I have a feeling
it's all
I might
dark.
like it just because of Angelina Jolie. So
she was falling asleep during it.
She doesn't do much in it, so don't get too excited for her in there.
It's all right. I generally, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I generally like direct-to-video movies and just shit that everyone hates. So unless it's Dogma 95 style shit or nominated for Oscars, fuck that shit.
Yeah, but usually those movies are kind of made with that kind of wink and that intentionality. I think Eternals was supposed to be a serious feature. You know?
Maybe it was supposed to be an A24 movie that made everyone their eyes out. Produced by Ari Aster. No. Now let's talk about Tamora Morrison and why he's amazing.
Casting in like 2 million roles in one movie.
Jango and Boba, and now Boba again.
10 million other clones.
Yes. I think I'm a clone now.
The first time I saw him was Once Were Warriors, which is.
Did you ever see the sequel to that? That was.
I didn't even know there was.
Twice Were Warriors.
Yeah, Twice Were. Yeah, it's called What Becomes of the Brokenhearted, but it's really cool because he was great as Jake the Muss in the first movie. It was a sleeper film in '94, and even the filmmakers involved never were ever as good as that. But yeah, ever again. But I loved how in part 2 he has to redeem himself and save his son from, getting killed by gangsters.
What's that? What was that called?
What Becomes of the Brokenhearted? And if I'm not mistaken, I think you can find it on YouTube still. So.
It's also the name of a really good Motown song.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very tempted to sing it.
Do it.
We established it was Once Were Warriors 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Damn it, you stole my joke.
Save that for part 3 to conclude the trilogy.
I've been sitting on that joke for 3 minutes, and then
I mean, that movie is very, very like serious and depressing. So it's great to be like, part 2. We decided to change it a bit, make it a little bit more palatable for everybody. So
a little
punch it up a little,
friends. So that's good. You saw the good shit, is what you're telling me. You saw that as opposed to Speed 2 or Barbed Wire.
I love Barbed Wire, man. Oh man, we can't go on Barbed Wire.
Cut out the rest of that movie and just have his stunts. The movie's even better, man.
Well, Barbed Wire's a remake of Casablanca. It's the exact storyline.
Oh my god, yes.
No, it actually is. Man. Like, I'm not joking. It's the exact.
No, I've heard that. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's the exact storyline of Casablanca. Except what's his name? Thing is Barbed Wire. So instead of Bogart, Bogart is
sorry to bust your inner Bogart. Sorry to be a Bogart on a Bogart. So let's talk about Ray Park. The dude was Toad in X-Men, Sleepy Hollow Horseman, and even in Ballistic X vs. Sever. That dude is just awesome. He gets my money every time.
Snake Eyes,
dude. He can move.
Snake Eyes.
Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
We just reviewed G.I. Joe 2, maybe about 10 episodes.
Snake Eyes.
Play Snake Eyes. I will say Snake Eyes, only good part of that movie. I will give it credit to that. Like, everything else is so fucking bland.
Well, I've got an idea. I think for the next Snake Eyes movie, they should have him without the mask on. Oh, wait. It's like the only good part of G.I. Joe 2 is Snake Eyes, so they take that character and shit it up for the movie that he's in on his own. It's like, okay, that was weird. Like,
well, yeah, it's the same thing they did with the X-Men movies and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. It's like, okay, we're gonna send him off on his own, and everything's on fire. Oh my god, we ruined Deadpool. Oh shit, and then
I essentially
at least they backtracked and made. I liked the Wolverine and I liked Logan, so I mean, at least they kind of.
I was just referring to Origins, but
that was a disaster.
Yeah, were you? Were you? No.
No, that's a great clarification. No shitting on Logan. Logan was a perfect movie.
It's good if you've never seen Leon the Professional, but yes, it's a good movie.
Yes.
It makes every grown man cry except me because I'm a cold-hearted bastard, but it's a good movie.
Well, it's a movie we haven't discussed yet, but would actually fit for pretty much everyone we've talked about. I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Fanboys from 2000.
Yes. He's in that.
Ray Park is in that as the security guard, and he does all the Darth Maul moves, but he's not wearing all the makeup. So
and that was so great, though, because it was even before all these martial artists like Frank Grillo and what's his name, Scott Adkins were around. When I saw him, I was just like, in fact, speaking of Scott Adkins, you should totally see him in Accident Man. It's a fun John Wick movie based on an actual comic. But yeah, had I not seen him in Fanboys, I would have never known that he could do some fun Jackie Chan kind of comedy and just body language. It's like he was so fun while funny and intimidating at the same time. It was great.
Yeah, no, he was great in that, and I think Carrie Fisher's in it too. There's a few people that, like, they got a lot of Star Wars folks in there,
and it's a great story. Is the guy dying of cancer, and he's seeing one of the prequels, and then he's running into some trackers, and and it's just some other fun stuff, and it's just like, yeah, it's just it was very clever, and no one knew how to advertise, and you're like, for real? I mean, there was a Darth Vader helmet on the cover. How do you not know how to advertise this movie?
Yeah. I love the ending where they're all sitting down and watching
the Force on the.
That's what it was.
And we can't not talk about Frank Oz either.
Oh, I think we can.
No.
Okay, well, I get overruled again. I was gonna.
Great director.
They want to talk about Davis. They want to talk about Frank Oz.
Shovel up my ass, I do.
Well, he was a Muppet guy, right?
He's a Muppet, yeah. He's a great director.
Muppets. Hey, yo, it's the Muppets.
Hey, yo, yeah. That'd be great. I'm walking here. I'm a Muppet. So I'm gonna wrap this up for you guys. I feel like you've all summed it up so great. I could talk about all the other bit part guys. I know the guy who played Silas Carson played Sebulba, as well as various other Imperials and droid commanders, and Hugh Quarcy played Captain Banaka, and he's like a go-to British guy. And the Genevieve O'Reilly played Mon Mothma in the prequels of Rogue One. But other than that, I feel like we've summed up just about how these lovable actors just are so dedicated, regardless of the material they're in. So I'm gonna let you guys promote your shows real fast. So who wants to go first?
Trevor and Luke will go first.
The chosen ones.
Here we go.
Okay. So yeah, this is Trevor, and this is my co-host Luke.
I couldn't
say
tell.
something. Yes. We're from the Barely Critical podcast. Our entire premise is we have to watch every movie ever to firmly decide which one is the greatest of all time.
Man.
Yeah, you can join us in.
Does that include porn?
We haven't gotten into Prison Sluts 7 yet. We need to watch 1 through 6.
Well,
or else we'll just
think you gotta have prison stuff. I'm talking more.
Well, I just mean
BBC like Volume 5 or.
Well, we can't watch Volume 5 without watching Volumes 1 through 4 first.
Yeah, we're gonna be lost the entire time.
Yeah, it's like,
well, it actually started with number 4. It went 4, 5, 6, and then they released 1, 2, 3.
Oh my God, they did a Star Wars.
It was a compilation, and yeah, there are some great Star Wars porn parodies. That is for sure. Yes.
Well, that could be on our list sometime. But
would you like to inspect my lightsaber?
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Oh my!
Oh my!
Hello, what have we here?
Hello there.
That's pretty small for a stormtrooper.
I am your father.
I am
father. Now I crossed the line. That's the Alabama one.
This is gonna get an X rating.
Oh shit. Okay, well, porn aside, yeah. You can tune in for our next show. We're actually having we're having our boy Cam on, and we're going to be reviewing American Psycho. Right. Yeah, you're going to be on. Yeah, we're reviewing.
I'm going to literally be comparing it to Bruiser, the George Romero movie, the whole time. This is a fucking ripoff.
Hey, whenever you want,
written years before.
Yeah, but yeah, look us up. All major platforms. Barely Critical podcasts. Yeah, we gotta watch them all.
Gotta
so.
watch 'em all. All right. So, John, what do you got planned for 30-something next besides watching an amazing show?
Yeah, so we've got John Reed, 30-something movie podcast. My other guys that were not able to make it here with me tonight, Dennis, Bo, Pat, and Jeff are usually on with me. And our show, the premise of our show is we do movies that are hitting their 30th anniversary. So this year we are in 92. So far we've done Lethal Weapon 3, we've done My Cousin Vinny, we did Passenger 57. We'll do them whether they're good or bad. I don't really care. We're just going to cover them.
I don't really care. I don't give a fuck.
Hey, I already told you I'll go to a movie theater to get popcorn just to watch. I mean, I'll watch the Yahoo Serious just to get some popcorn. So
you are just too ezy to get along with.
I will watch just about anything.
Maybe I need you to tell everyone why Picard's amazing.
Oh God,
it was fine. It was all right. But yeah, no, we're kind of excited because we are actually reaching our 400th episode here in just a couple of weeks. So
it's over 400.
That's huge. That's huge.
I regret nothing. So Dylan, obviously I've had all the MVPs here. Ryan.
You haven't had Big Ben Hassler though. He's the fourth co-host. So yeah, you've had Rob Maynard.
Just when I think I got it figured out.
Yeah, no. So the Reels of Justice, it's Rob Maynard, Brian Luis Rodriguez, myself, and Big Ben Hassler. Every week we put a movie on trial to determine if it's guilty of being a bad movie. And we have a special, oh, I know, it's intense. We have a special guest every week that either prosecutes or defends the movie. Like we've had Frank Conniff and Trace Beaulieu on, like you mentioned before. We have historian Jeremy Black.
I've always loved it when you've had to defend a movie that none of you even give a shit about, but someone has to be on the opposing side. It's a mercenary job. I must defend my client.
Yeah, no, the most recent episode that came out was Spawn, and I actually, I really wanted to defend Spawn, but the guest on he wanted to defend it, so I had to prosecute it actually. So I had to flip the script. I'm like, I like this movie though, and I had to tear it apart.
At least you can just ask easy questions as opposed to attack.
Yeah, exactly. And then. And we haven't done I don't think we've done a Star Wars movie yet, but we have had some grumblings about a few guests who would like to do like Rogue One or something. So stay tuned.
We did.
I remember Rob said
special.
it best when I had him on my show one time. He's like, I don't want to talk to anyone who doesn't like Rogue One.
I know, but Rob only gets one vote.
Can you review the Star Wars Holiday Special?
Oh God, why?
It's better than the sequel trilogy.
It does introduce Boba Fett. You got to give it that much.
We did that 2 Christmases ago.
Carrie Fisher sings, and Harrison Ford kills a guy.
We did that with another podcast 2 Christmases ago, and I feel like I still need to take a shower from that one scene where the Wookiee is watching
watching porn.
Semi-pornographic.
Watching porn.
Pretty much, yeah.
Dude, I want to kick Chewie's son into the orbit. Like I hate Chewie's son. Irrational. His name's
This is
Lumpy.
what we get for. At least we didn't talk about B. Arthur this whole time because
I was just gonna say B. Arthur. Sorry, I was gonna throw that in there.
Oh man,
she's not the one who did blackface. Who did blackface in the holiday special?
Oh, someone did blackface.
Someone absolutely. It's like a weird cooking segment in the holiday special.
Yes, yeah, the cooking video.
You sure it wasn't your VCR fading out from the pain it was having to embrace? I don't know.
That was Chef Gourmanda.
Chef Gourmanda, yes, and she did.
And they are
blackface.
part of the canon, believe it or not. Some dickhead years ago in the 90s made these guys part of the Star Wars Encyclopedia. So, but again, I will watch this in purgatory and in hell versus any Lids Flair induced Star Wars ship fest. So, J-Man, yo, Jay,
yes.
Jaywalking man, what you up to? What you doing after this?
I stream on YouTube under JMan77.
Only on Patreon and OnlyFans.
Oh, I don't have.
The boner is strong with this one.
The erection is strong with this one.
Yes.
I got enough blow for your job.
It's like in Spaceballs. Remember they put the ring to their crotch and then the lightsaber would come up. That's how they activated the lightsaber, the sword, sort of. Yeah. So I stream Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. We do comic book stuff. So whatever we're going to be talking about Peacemaker and Superman and Lois and whatever's,
Some
come
good
out
stuff.
that week.
Yeah.
Wednesdays we do verses. So we take two movies and we have them face them off. So we did like T1 versus T2.
Nice.
Karate Kid 1 versus Karate Kid 2, Blade versus Blade 2, Superman versus Superman 2, Alien versus Aliens, that kind of stuff. So we pick a winner. And we pick tough movies, right? Like T1 versus T2 is not as easy as it might sound to say, so we really break it down. Like we break down the story, the characters, all that. So that's pretty much it. So 3 nights a week.
Awesome.
So
Lovely.
Stellar, thank you all for being here. I will have you all back again and get this episode posted up. Thank you all for doing this All-Star cast.
Hell
Hey,
yeah.
thank you. It was nice meeting all you guys. You guys are a great group. Great group.
Icing on the cake, my friends. Thank you.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new Podcast Cure-All? Sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed, and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in it.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of it.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
all popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be a
could you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Hey everybody, I'm Corey.
And I'm Zach, and we're the hosts of Podcasting After Dark, a cast dedicated to late-night horror and sci-fi of the 80s and 90s, often found on HBO and Cinemax.
You know, the movies your parents didn't want you watching as a kid. You can find us every other week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher.
This is what you want.
This is what you get.
It's time, let's check our queue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. We're the one that's black holes and gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy at eilfm.podbean.com.
Welcome to Who Was She podcast. I am your host, Tara Jabari. After a decade working in documentaries, marketing, and all things digital media, I found that podcasting is a strong medium to share stories. After years of producing for others, I decided to start my own biographical podcast. Who Was She will focus on the life of a woman throughout Baha'i history. The first season is about Lydia Zamenhof. Lydia's story explores the subjects of the power of language and faith. Her father invented the universal language Esperanto, and she came from a Jewish family and became a Baha'i. She grew up during World War I and was killed during World War II in a concentration camp, despite heroic efforts to save her life. How can one person's life intersect with so many others, connect across borders, and inspire a biography which inspired this podcast? Over the next few weeks, I will share her story with you and the lives that were most affected by her and those who affected her life as well. They include her father, Ludwig Zamenhof, her spiritual mother, American journalist Martha Root, and the Baha'i German soldier Fritz Mako, who worked for the resistance undercover while having to serve the Nazi Party. I want to thank the author Wendy Heller and George Ronald Publishing for their blessing to let me use Heller's biography, Lydia, The Life of Lydia Zamenhof, Daughter of Esperanto, as a main and instrumental resource for this podcast. So please subscribe and learn about this amazing woman who traveled through 3 continents in an effort to bring unity through the power of language. You can also find more information on our Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Who Was She Podcast. Music was composed and performed by Sam Red. I am your host, Tara Jabari. Join us next time as we begin our journey about Lydia Zamenhof.
The Jacked Up Review Show can also be followed on Facebook on both the page and the group. Feel free to chat, leave questions, make requests for future episodes. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you so much for your various support, and we'll continue to entertain the hell out of you. Till then, take care.